Welcome back everybody. In this video we're going to be looking at the new tracker to make music in GB Studio. If you don't remember what GB Studio is, it lets you make Game Boy games you can actually play on the original Game Boy. You can also export them for Analog Pocket now, and you don't need any programming experience to get started. It's all drag and drop. You can even download it for free. So when you open up GB Studio, it looks something like this. This is a sample project. I've changed the theme to dark so that it's easier on the eyes if you're watching this at night. And if we go to the music section here, then we'll be brought into a song that's already been made, this top one here. And if we press play, we can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like. As you can see, it's moving through these patterns here. This is called a pattern. It moves through, and then when it gets to the end, it will loop around in the game if you click loop. As you can see, we're on a piano roll here, and some of these might be hidden, so you would want to unhide them, so you can see, like, grayed out the different channels that they're using for the music. So the Game Boy only has 4 channels. This is all explained in the documents. I recommend you read the documents. They're not as good as they were for GB Studio 2, but they still are slightly useful just to get started. You'll have to do a lot of experimenting to, get your head around most of this, and there are some things that you might be frustrated about. But I'm just going to go to a song that I started making. As you can see, there's only one pattern down here. I haven't put in any drums in yet. The noise channel is normally for drums, but as you can see, I got one here. The duty is referring to these instruments, which channel 1 and 2 can use. Channel 3 is the wave, and it can use these instruments. And obviously channel 4 is the noise instrument, which is reserved for like percussion or sound effects normally. So some of the changes in this version can be quite annoying. If you're used to how it worked before, every song was already set up with the correct sounds. But now you actually have access to 15 different sounds in each 15 different instruments in each channel, which is fantastic. I think obviously channel 1 and 2 are using the same 15 instruments, but it does mean that you can kind of create some different sounds for each song. I believe every single song has its own instruments, which can increase the production value of your songs, but it also does mean that you have to mess around a bit more and try and get what you want and think about what the song needs in terms of sound, in note length and volume and sweep change, rather than it all just being done for you. Obviously, these ones say they're done for you, but it's not as simple as it might seem. So if we go to duty 1, as you can see, I've laid these notes here. You see an orange, that means it's duty 1, and there is no length. I've set the volume to max. There's no sweep change. It's just 12.5%, and if I mute everything else, then you can hear what that sounds like. So it's just a chord progression that loops around. As you can see in the duty 2, it's like a couple notes up, so it's adding to that chord effect. And then on the wave channel, I have just this one note, which actually is played out or plays out through the whole time until this next one comes in. The most annoying thing I found so far is if let's just say I didn't want this row down here, and I just wanted the sound to be here. If I press play, you see how it continues to play? The fact that it continues to play is because there's nothing stopping it. So I could add a length here. You see, I set it to 32 before I unticked it. So let's try this. Okay, and another annoying thing is you can't just skip back to the start. There's no like go back to start button. That frustrates me. And you see, because the note length is 32, it actually went on a bit longer, and it doesn't tell you where that is. It's kind of like length. There's an 8. There's no reference to anything here, to be honest. It's not very clear. Okay, so you see that completely changed the sound. So maybe if I try 16, and now imagine it's like a bass line, like do 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 do. But obviously I would need to move it down an entire octave to do that better. but that more effectively did the effect I wanted, where it cut it off. But I kind of want the note to continue, right? So I'm now going to talk about um I'm now going to talk about the wave. So the reason why the wave is like this is because the note continues and is only stopped by the next note. So the note continues on because if I go to the actual instrument that it's using, I think it's this one, then there is no length. So it continues forever, just like it would in the tracker normally. And obviously, if we press this button up here, we do go to a tracker, and we can see basically what we've laid out here on the piano roll. But in this sense here, where each channel is dedicated to those notes. So as you can see, the notes here have the note and the instrument. And if we want to cut off the volume in a tracker normally, like OpenMPT that I used before, I would just type C0 and it would cut off the volume. So let's go back and see how that sounds. Okay, so you hear it cut off there because I had a 0, the C0. If you look in the document, we see here C is set to volume, and I set it to 0. Unfortunately, there's no indication of how the volume works in the previous, in the GBT player thing here. It has a list of volumes. You see here, just completely lists it so that you know the increments, or like what maximum volume is, what lower volume is, what medium volume is, and in between that, right? So it's annoying. It just says from 00 to 0F. I don't know what that means. I will have to test out and look this stuff up. I'm not really happy with how this is set up for people that are new to GB Studio and making music with a tracker. But hopefully this video is kind of helping you understand it slightly. Obviously, setting maximum volume is what you would have to do in previous trackers, so I'd normally do C40, but it seems like it doesn't need that because when you set the instrument, it seems to just set the volume to max or whatever you have it in the instrument over here. You see volume 100%. So I'm going to show you how to create instruments. So we're going to go to the noise channel, and obviously the noises are just like white noise, basically. That's the essence of it. So if I go to noise 4, I have to choose instrument 4 up here. I don't know why they're not named the same. And also, what's annoying is I can't rename this to whatever I want to sound it. For some reason, that doesn't work. It's kind of frustrating. I watched Max Oakland's video on the tracker, and he pointed that out. If we look in the documents here, there's no indication of limitations of it. For example, in the previous version, the GBT player, it could only be on a C5 note, I believe, and it would always be the C5. But with this, it seems like you can actually control the pitch by placing it on the piano roll. I haven't actually tested it on the actual hardware, so I'm not sure how reliable it is yet. So I've just placed the noise 4, which has these settings. I didn't change anything, and it just goes down, up, and hopefully it has some kind of beat to it. Okay, so it did something, but obviously it doesn't really sound like drums, so I'm just going to cut it down a bit, and let's try again. And again, I have to wait for it to go all the way around. Okay, so that definitely is something. I feel like I would need to create a different instrument for the higher notes. Maybe we can even try higher to see how that sounds with the hi-hat or whatever. Maybe it's a snare. I mean, that's pretty satisfying, so I think I'll leave that one. I'll use instrument 4 as the high note, and then I'll come down here to instrument 5. Make sure you change it here as well. And change these to 5. If you want to get rid of a note, you just right click on it, or you can obviously go in the eraser. So let's try number 5. Okay, so obviously we got the volume here, so we need to put up the volume. And it does something, but it's not really that nice of a sound. Should we compare noise 4 with noise 5? There's a dividing ratio here in noise 4. And also the 7-bit counter is on. So let's put up the dividing ratio. Obviously to 7. And that's how we would expect. Put it down. Let's try and change it as it's going. And put on the 7-bit counter. And as you can hear, it kind of splits up. I think it plays it per frame. And let's see what this does here. Obviously it's not as simple. It would be nice to have some presets that we can properly test. It looks like there is, obviously I've been playing with this before. If I was to go into another template, so you have to save before you can. Go to another template and look at the noises here. I can just place them down quick. I'll place them on C5. If you look at the bottom, there's a test instrument. This is test instrument with C5, so it's kind of, that's what you're meant to be hearing at, I assume. Yeah, so unfortunately there are no template sounds for you to just start off with and not have to worry about, so you will have to create your own like noises and stuff. I know that by changing this shift clock mask and the dividing ratio, you will get different outcomes, but it's not as, there's nothing this built in for you. You can obviously look at the other the songs here and try and learn what works good for you. Okay, so as the song's playing, I'm going to change this high note here. I'm going to change the shift clock mask and see how it changes the sound. I don't hear any audible difference. I'll change the dividing ratio and then change the shift clock mask as well to see how they interfere with each other. I'm not I don't understand this. Maybe if I untick the 7-bit counter, it would actually change something. Now, honestly, I'm not even sure if this is working. I don't know how to know if it's working. So I can't tell you if this is working or not properly. But yeah, this is obviously fantastic for people who don't want to see this. This is a tracker, and this is a piano roll. The piano roll is much easier to get your head around because it's just like GarageBand or whatever you learned in school, where it goes from left to right. You see notes on a page basically, and it's very simple to understand. You've got patterns at the bottom. You go across and it goes through patterns. But you still will need to use this to set the volume to 0, or obviously you could come up with your own solution of having a noise or an instrument that doesn't have a volume to use that as the no volume. But you can see there's kind of like weird ways you could make your own process from this. And it will require a lot of experimentation to get some stuff that you're happy with. If you are thinking about the drums, especially, you could just use the duty noises, and they will be quite good for you. But by playing around, you will probably make better music than you did in the GPT player. It's just annoying there are some quality of life issues and not enough documentation. If somebody really knows how to make music in this, it would be great for them to either make a video or add to that documentation in order to make it easier for people who understand how it works but don't understand each specific value and how it affects the sound overall, right? But yeah, if I now go back to the game world, so you'll save and continue. Obviously, the little game we made last time, where it's just our little test character, we have a music track playing, so it will loop if we press play on this. And that's basically what we heard in the piano roll, right? So if we press play, we'll see how it compares. Okay, so here we go. I just clicked and it started the music. So it's very simple. The fact that you don't have to leave the editor to make music now is fantastic. The fact that it basically sounds exactly the same as the final piece is fantastic. But I am a bit frustrated with some of the, not being able to skip to the start and having to still go into the tracker in order to place, the values, and the drums especially not being very clear in the documentation, and even by experimenting, how the sound works. I'm sure this thing here is probably how the most effects you're going to get out of the sound. But so yeah, I hope that was a good insight into getting your head around this stuff. I want to make more videos in the future, obviously, so let me know what you thought of this one. If you like the dark theme, I'll just put my patrons up on the screen right now. Thank you so much to you guys. Let me know what you thought of this video and if it was useful. Let me know if you agree with my maybe harsh opinions on the new tracker. Obviously, I do think it's fantastic we have a piano roll. I was obviously extremely used to using a tracker, so it did take me a while to get my head around some of these changes and stuff, and I am happy that we actually have, full control of the sound. So remember to like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.